VP thing will reveal itself soon enough.
Right now, Veepstakes 2012, will it be the bold or the boring? At this point, only Mitt Romney knows for sure. And next,
if people had been in Massachusetts under Governor Romney's health care plan, they would have had health care.
whoops, Mitt Romney's own flack just made a major flop, undermining his criticism of Obamacare. How is the Romney campaign going to come back from that one? And later,
what we're seeing is this kind of soft anti-American feeling.
is Team USA not American enough? Some are saying that their uniforms show a lack of patriotism. We want to know if you agree. Good evening and welcome to RFL. I'm Andrew Whitman, in tonight for Richard French. Want to thank you so much for joining us on this Friday evening, the 10th of August. As always, a lot to cover tonight, but we begin with the political issue that's on everyone's minds right now, Veepstakes 2012. Who will Mitt Romney pick? Will it be Rob Portman, the former White House budget director who's been dubbed by the media as Mr. Bland? Will it be former Minnesota Governor Tim Pawlenty, the only one in the lineup who ran for the Republican nomination this year and got up before any votes had been cast? Could it be Representative Paul Ryan, the GOP's so-called budget golden boy? What about Florida Senator Marco Rubio, a fresh face and a play for the Latino crowd? Or could Mitt Romney surprise us all and pick a complete wild card, the name that nobody is talking about tonight? Joining us on our panel tonight to do some talking of their own, Dominic Carter, political journalist and author, as well as Jessica Proud, Republican strategist and vice president at NLO Strategies. And before I get to the actual pick itself and asking you guys and putting you on the spot, let's go through the individual names that we just rattled off and go through some of the pluses and minuses. And we'll start with Rob Portman. He's the budget director, the former budget director under George Bush. Not very many people know who he is. What's the upside, what's the downside of picking Rob Portman?
Well, just like you said, he has a lot of experience dealing with the federal budget, which is a very big issue on the table right now. The Senate hasn't passed a budget in 3 years under Harry Reid's leadership, and President Obama is the only president to have presided over a Congress that hasn't passed a budget. So we need to get the economy back on track. That's #1 in the voters' minds, and someone that can bring that experience to the table is going to be very valuable. Mitt Romney himself has said that he wants someone that's going to help him govern. He's not just looking for who's going to get him a certain voting block.
I would say #1 rule is you want someone that's going to help you win. And right now, in terms of having momentum, that's a big problem for Mr. Romney. So Mr. Portman would do a great job in terms of helping him. And, I believe no Republican has ever been elected president without the state of Ohio.
I believe that's right.
And so I believe he did quite well in his last election. He puts Ohio in play in a big way.
Any concerns about somebody who was that high up in the Bush administration being on Romney's ticket? Does that bring the Bush budget and the Bush economy back into play?
No, I don't think so at all. I mean, that's an old argument. People
I think the Obama folks would try, but I agree with Jessica that it really is not much ado about nothing.
Okay, next guy is Tim Pawlenty, the former Minnesota governor. Try and stay awake as we talk about it. I mean, he ran for president but got out after the Iowa straw poll, didn't even wait for any actual voting to go on. If he's been that soundly rejected by Republican voters, can he really help Mitt Romney?
Well, back on during the contest at that point, I mean, it was very difficult to raise money. Mitt Romney was running ahead at that point. This is someone that has executive experience. Again, we don't need, we had the American Idol president already. We don't need someone that's going to be a game changer. We don't need someone.
I was wondering that myself.
Well, I think it's pretty obvious that our current president had all the flash and flare of Hollywood behind him.
I thought you were talking about Taft. I really did.
I figured you did. But we want someone that's going to be very steady, that's going to help the ticket and help the economy. And that Mitt Romney is a businessman. He's going to make a very pragmatic choice here. It doesn't need to be this wild card that everyone seems to be talking about.
Well, if he went with Pawlenty, what does he really bring to the table? I mean, for Mr. Romney, right now, Mr. Romney, President Obama's lead is about 7 points. I mean, give or take.
Yeah.
It's widening a little bit. And so Mr. Romney's got to do something to close that gap. And so you'd have basically, for lack of a better word, two boring individuals.
Well, the criticisms of Mitt Romney is that he's so wealthy and that he can't be in touch with the average voter. And Tim Pawlenty really disposes a lot of that. He's a blue-collar guy, came up, and that's one of the things that he's lauded for as well.
Is the allure of both Pawlenty and Portman the lack of a surprise, that it's not going to be, oh, we didn't know that, or they're not going to blow up on the Jersey Shore, or there's not going to be some statement from their immediate past because they've been pretty well vetted at this point? Is that the strongest thing that they have going for them?
Yes, I don't think you'll get any. Well, let me backtrack.
Sure.
Whenever you pick a number two, you try and vet them as much as humanly possible. But as we saw with Sarah Palin, there are certain things that you just can't control, and there are several X factors that just may pop up. So you never know. But as much as you can say they are safe picks, they are safe picks.
And you never want the number two to outshine the main guy as well. So these they are safe picks. I think it's a great way to go. All of them are good choices. I
really think the specter of Sarah Palin is hanging over this pick because they just don't want a repeat of what happened in 2008.
Would you want to repeat that?
Oh gosh, no, absolutely not. And you both said that you don't think it's going to be a wild card. So I just want to, because we're running out of time, I want to throw out Paul Ryan, because he's been getting a lot of push. I think the Weekly Standard, which just did a whole thing pushing for him to be the VP pick. But then you bring the Ryan budget into play, and Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security. Is he too dangerous a pick for VP, and is he too well placed in the House? Is he too important for Republicans in the House?
I think that's an initial reaction of someone like a political consultant or someone in the media to make that assumption off the bat. But he does add a lot of substance to the table. It could be a very issues-oriented debate, which is what the Republicans need right now to keep the focus on the economy. And he is someone that's been willing to stand up and say, we need to reform entitlements if we're going to protect the country long-term. And that has to be a conversation in this election.
I don't know about Mr. Ryan. I mean, it may play well with the conservative base of the party, but where were they going to go anyway? Are they going to vote for President Obama? No. The downside to the congressman is that budget that you mentioned. And if I'm Team Obama and the Chicago machine, I'm sitting back right now and I'm saying, please go with Ryan. Please, please, because I can put out all these commercials that you could care less about the poor and the middle class.
All right, now to put you on the spot, you got to give me an answer. Who is the VP pick going to be, Dominic?
The senator from Ohio.
Portman.
Yes, if I had to guess, because there's so much that he brings to the table in terms of being able to win this thing. But I'm a firm believer when it comes to number two that these candidates are always trying to think outside the box. And the bigger that Mr. Romney's the lead gap for Obama gets, is more the possibility of a surprise pick number two, in my opinion.
Jessica?
I think they would all be good choices,
of course.
But I tend to lean towards Portman as well. I think there's just not a lot of negatives that he can bring to the table, and he certainly will help electorally as well as issues, and I guess we'll find out.
I also think it's going to be Rob Portman, but I think it's because he doesn't have a definition. Nobody knows who he is, so the Romney camp can build him up as who they want him to be before the Obama machine can break him down and start characterizing him.
I would agree with you under normal circumstances with that, but the Obama folks have shown that they are already defining Romney before Romney gets a chance, and so.
Oh, they've got files on everybody. They probably got files on Petraeus and Christie and Sarah Palin just in case she shows up again. So it could be very, very interesting, and we'll know probably sooner rather than later. Maybe this weekend, maybe tonight, maybe Monday, maybe next weekend at the latest. We are an interactive show here on RFL, so what we want you to do is head to our Facebook page. It's facebook.com/Richard French Live. I'm computer literate. And sound off on our question tonight. Does Romney's VP pick really matter? You can also tweet us at Rich French Live. And hey, if you want to throw in your suggestions on who you think the VP selection should be or who you think it's going to be, we're not going to stop you. We're going to take a quick break here on RFL. When we come back, another Romney-related question. Why isn't Mitt winning? Talk to a lot of Republicans, they'll tell you the economy's in the tank, and on paper, he really should be doing better. So why isn't he, and what's not working for him? Also, with fewer and fewer people remaining undecided in this race, how are the candidates going to spend the rest of this campaign season? Do they keep going after that shrinking undecided voter? Are there any undecideds left? America Votes is next. Stay with us.